These are the assembly instructions for my giant mascara with a hidden box. I'm starting with the brush pieces or the applicator pieces, and these pieces are cut out of 65-pound cardstock. So I'm just folding down on that score line in the center for all 6 of them. So next I'm pairing them up. So on one piece, I'm just putting glue all along that score line, so just above the fold. And then I'm taking my second piece and then just layering it right on top. So my 2 pieces are just glued together at that center line. And I'm doing the exact same thing for all 3 sets. So next I'm taking my first set and putting glue in the exact same spot just above that score line. I'm joining my second set so that those folds are stacked up right on top of one another. And I'm putting glue along the score line again and matching up my last set. Just stacking them up just on top of one another. And then I'm putting glue on the same spot again, and then I'm bringing the other end around and I'm just gluing those 2 pieces together right on that bead of glue. So next I'm moving on to the wand or the handle for my mascara. I'm just folding down on those tiny tabs at the top, and then I'm folding them towards me. And then I'm folding down on all those score lines that run the length of my piece. And then I have the one panel at the end that doesn't have a tab at the top. I'm just putting glue all over it. I'm folding my piece over on that second score line, and then I'm bringing the other end over so that the cut edge of that piece is right on the score line of my tab. And then I'm popping my piece up and it forms a hexagon shape like so. So next I'm building the casing that the handle of my mascara fits into. This is one of many pieces in the file that look like this. They're all different sizes, but they're all assembled the same way or in a similar way. I'm just folding down on all the score lines for those tiny little tabs. And then I'm placing my piece down on my mat, and I'm just running my bone folder just along the edge. That's just to smooth out the fold between my little tabs. And I'm going to do that on both sides. And then on the side, I have this tab with a score line. I'm not folding down on that score line. I'm just putting glue from the score line to the end of my tab. And then I'm bringing the other end over. I want that cut edge to be right on the score line of my tab. And I want the score lines on each side to line up. Next, I'm pulling one set of those tiny tabs towards the outside of my shape. And for the other set, I'm folding them in so that they're pointing towards the inside of my shape. Then I'm taking one of my black ring pieces and I'm just putting glue all around the perimeter of it. And I'm just lowering it down into my shape. I'm just going in with my bone folder and I'm just spreading that glue. Then I'm taking the other ring piece. I'm pushing the tabs inwards and putting glue on one of those tabs. And I'm placing my ring piece so that it's exactly on the score line of that tab. And then I'm putting glue all over the rest of those tab pieces. And then I'm folding down my ring piece to cover the tabs. And I want the edge of the ring piece to closely follow along the walls of my shape. Sometimes you just have to push and pull a little bit to get it to follow the shape. Then I'm placing that side down on my mat and just going in with my bone folder and spreading the glue. So I have one smooth side and one side with tabs. I'm putting glue all over the side with tabs. And I'm taking one of my round pieces with the hexagon shape cut out of the center, and I'm just placing it on top of my shape. And then I'm flipping it over to place it onto the mat, and then going in there with my bone folder and spreading that glue. And then I'm putting glue on the other end, just around the perimeter of that smooth piece. And then I'm taking my handle piece, I'm inserting it inside the cutout of my other circular piece, and then I'm inserting it inside the circular box that I formed. And then I'm just gluing that round piece down to the perimeter, like so. And then I'm lowering my handle down till the score line for the tabs are right at the top of that cutout. And I'm putting glue all over those tabs. And then I'm just folding them down onto the surface of my shape, like so. And then I'm putting glue on top of those tabs and on top of the surface of my circle. And then I'm just gluing the circle on top of that piece. So next I'm moving on to the largest piece in my file. So this is the bottom of your mascara box. And I've cut this out of foiled patterned cardstock, but you can cut it out of any 80-pound cardstock, something a little bit of weight, but not too much weight to make it easier to roll. And I have a lot of similar sized ring pieces for the file. I'm just stacking them up. So I have 2 of them that have larger cutouts than most. So this is one of the larger cutout ones. And you just run through them quickly. You can find, oh, that's the other one. And the others are all identical. The 2 of the larger cutouts are for the lid of my box, and I'm putting them aside for now. So to assemble this box, I'm using the same technique as I used on the casing for my brush. I'm folding down on all those tiny tabs all the way along the edge. And then I'm putting my piece down on my mat and just smoothing out the edge with my bone folder. I'm doing that for both sides. And I'm temporarily laying my tabs flat, and I'm taking a roll of vinyl. This is just the right size to help me form my piece. And I'm just rolling my piece around the roll of vinyl, just to give it the curve that I need. Then I'm putting glue from the score line to the edge of the piece. Now notice I didn't fold down on that score line, so that score line is just there for placement. I'm just bringing the cut edge over to the score line of my tab, and I want the score lines on both sides to match up. I'm actually going to use my vinyl roll and just rolling that seam over and over just to spread the glue. My cardstock has a direction to it. I want to make sure that my lettering is in the right direction so it's still legible. At the top of my piece, I'm just pulling those tabs away from the center. At the bottom, they're all pointing towards the center of my piece. And then I'm taking one of my ring pieces and putting glue all over the perimeter of it. And then I'm just lowering it into my shape. I'm just going in there with a craft dial because my bone folder isn't long enough. And I'm just making sure that I'm spreading that glue. I'm moving to the top of my piece and I'm putting glue on one of those tabs. I'm taking one of my ring pieces and I'm just gluing it so that the score line is right along the edge of my piece. And then I'm going to go around the perimeter of my piece and put glue on the rest of those tabs. And because this is foiled, it's going to take a little bit longer to dry. And then I'm folding my ring piece so that the edges of my ring piece are right along the score lines of my tab. And then I'm going in and just pinching the walls in place. And then I have another piece, now not to be confused with the smaller piece. So this piece is for the lid for later, and this is the piece I'm using now. And I'm folding down on those tiny tabs and smoothing out the edges. Then I'm putting glue from the score line to the edge on my tab. I'm bringing the other end around and I'm just placing that cut edge right on the score line of my tab. So next I'm going to take another one of my ring pieces and I am just lowering it on top of those tabs. And then I'm putting glue on all those tabs and I'm folding those tabs outwards. You want your ring piece to be right at that score line of your tabs. And then place the ring piece on your mat and just spread that glue. So now I'm putting glue all over those tabs and that ring piece. So my writing is in the right direction. And I'm gluing that piece right on top, and I can go in there and just sort of pinch the edges to make sure that it all takes. It's just a circle with no cutouts. And I'm just putting glue all over the tabs at the bottom and just gluing it on. And then I'm going in with my craft towel and just spreading that glue. So next I'm working on the top portion of my mascara. And this is the piece for the little hidden box at the top. Instead of using my roll of vinyl, I'm using a bottle that has a smaller diameter to roll up my piece. I've folded down on the tabs and evened out the edges as I've done for the other pieces. And then I'm just rolling up my piece. I'm putting glue from the score line to the edge on that side tab. And then I'm bringing the other end up so that it's right up against the score line on my tab. And I want the score lines on both sides to be lined up. So I'm rolling my piece over that bottle just to spread my glue. Then I'm pulling the tabs away on the top end and pushing the tabs inwards on the bottom. And then I have a small ring piece. I'm just putting glue all over the perimeter of that piece And then I'm just dropping it into my piece with the glue side downwards. And I'm going in with my bone folder and I'm just spreading that glue. And I'm taking one of my ring pieces and I'm just lowering it over my tabs. And then I'm putting glue all over those tabs and then folding them back onto my ring piece right at that score line at the base of each tab. And then I'm going in with my bone folder and I'm just spreading that glue. And then I'm going to put glue all over the tabs that are on the bottom of my piece. And I'm taking just the smallest of those round shapes. I'm just gluing that solid round shape on top. I'm going to flip my box over and again going in there and spreading the glue. So next I have that pattern top piece to my mascara. So I'm using my vinyl roll again to form that piece. I'm putting glue from the score line to the edge on my tab. And I'm adhering the cut edge of my piece to the score line on my tab. My paper is directional. I'm making sure that the words are in the right direction. This is the bottom of my shape and this is the top, and I am folding the tabs towards the interior at the top and pulling them towards the outside on the bottom. I'm taking the handle for my mascara brush and I'm taking my little hidden box that I've just formed. I'm putting glue on the bottom of my box and then I'm eyeballing this a little bit, but I'm gluing this so that my box is centered on the top of my handle piece. So I want an even border all the way around. I'm putting glue all along the perimeter and the tabs on the top of my hidden box piece. And then I'm lowering it into my shape. So remember those tabs are pointing towards the center at the bottom. And then I'm applying pressure and then I'm just gluing down those tabs all the way around the perimeter of my piece. And then I'm taking one of my ring pieces, putting glue all around the perimeter of it, and I'm just gluing it on top of my tabs. So now I'm folding all these tabs inwards like so. So now I'm finally going to use those two rings that have a larger cutout in the center. I'm just putting glue on one of the tabs. I'm lowering my ring piece so that the edge of my ring piece is right at the score line of that tab. And then I'm working my way all around the shape, putting glue on all the remaining tabs. And then I'm folding my ring piece down. I want the wall of my shape to go right along the edge of my ring piece. I'm just going in there and pinching the piece until it's in the shape that I like. And then I have a second piece. I'm just going to glue it on top, and this is just to make this piece nice and solid. So I'm putting glue all over my ring piece and just gluing it on top of the other one. So this is my final ring piece, and I'm not entirely sure it's absolutely necessary, but I put it in the file just the same, and I'm gluing it on top. So this is the wand, the bottom of my piece, and then the top of my piece. So next I'm making the lid for this box. So I've already folded down on the score lines and evened out the edge of this piece. As for all the other pieces, I'm putting glue from the score line to the edge, bringing the other end around and gluing it right at that score line. So I've got all my tabs folded so that they are pointing towards the center of my shape, and I've got a ring piece. I'm putting glue around the perimeter of the ring piece, lowering it into my shape. I'm using my bone folder just to spread that glue and make sure that that glue takes. I'm putting glue all over those tabs. I have a solid circle and I'm just gluing it to the top. I want the edges to be nice and even. And then I'm putting glue all over the circle that I've just glued in. And I have a circular score line right on the top of my lid piece that will guide me so that I can center my piece over that circle as much as possible. When I cut out some of my ring shapes, I kept some of the center parts, and I'm just going to put this inside. I think it finishes off the lid a little bit better. And then I have some embellishing pieces. I've cut this out of foil craft board, and I'm putting glue on the underside of one of them. I'm just putting it at the top of my lid piece. Not only is this decorative, but it also makes that lid piece a lot stronger. So this is my bottom piece. I'm just going to glue it onto the bottom of my mascara tube. And so next I'm heating up my hot glue gun. And while I'm waiting for it to heat up, I am taking my brush piece. I'm just folding down on all 6 sets of bristles just to give them a little bit more body. Now, it's okay to squish down a little bit. I'm half inserting these tab ends into the handle. I'm putting some hot glue all the way around my brush piece just at the top. And then I'm inserting my brush into my handle. I'm waiting for my hot glue to set. And just around the collar of my bottom piece, I'm just going to glue this on. This is foil craft board. It's the same as for the circle at the top and at the bottom. And I'm just putting it right below the collar of the bottom piece. I'm gluing my piece right at that seam. And I'm putting glue all along the rest of my strip, just carefully wrapping it around the very top. And then I have a second decorative piece, and just as for the other piece, I'm putting glue on the end of my strip, gluing it down right at the seam and right at that ring piece. And then I'm putting glue all along the rest of it, and then just carefully wrapping it around. And so my mascara brush goes into the base. My lid piece fits right at the top like so.